Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Blue Dragon 5 here.
And Jacob Weil.
It's time yet again to explore the vast catalog and find out what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. And tonight, we're talking Monsters at Work, Season 2.
Oh yeah. And if in case you're curious as to why we're not doing it episode by episode, well, we're aware that it aired episode by episode on Disney Channel, but dropped all at once on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So that's why we're going about it this way. We're doing every single episode at once. So strap yourselves in.
So, I guess overall, the place to start. I love the idea of Monsters at Work. I loved in season one. I thought it was like a great epilogue, kind of the whole epilogue midquel. Like basically, we're in the middle of the epilogue.
Technically, the most season one took place before the epilogue of the
which
movie.
Is so unique. It's like we're doing kind of the Lion King 1.5 thing, but only at the very tail end.
The only thing is, we don't even know that until the end of the episode. The end of the season, rather.
Yeah. And we kind of figured it though, because again, they don't have the big. We kind of learned it through the course of the season just how exactly it was going to line up, which was great, But that's the thing. So, season 2, there was a big question if we were to get a season 2. Which honestly, I was completely shocked that we did get a season 2. I was kind of blindsided by that in a delightful kind of surprise kind of way. There's less speculation to if we were to do season 2, it would have to be, in kind of the Monsters Inc. sequel territory, which is kind of huge. Like how far do we go? What are we gonna be able to show? And there's a lot of questions of like, do we follow the same characters? Do we explore? Do we focus more on some pre-established characters, or do we just have like new entry point monsters into the new status quo? Now that we've kind of linked up with the beginnings of the new status quo.
In a way, they kind of did almost a combination of all of those.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. So, I honestly, I was a little worried about Tylor and the Mifters' longevity, because before the new season, I re-binged Monsters at Work, and looking at it, there's still a lot that I love about it, but I look at it again, it's like I see maybe a few chinks in the armor, but I think season 2 we made some great story choices, particularly with Tylor and Val. And that said, though, I did have some story issues this season. Nothing. I think the good outweighed the bad. The bad was not major or anything, but it was kind of. I think it was an important miss that we had those. So we'll get there when we get there. I do feel there maybe was a bit of a story issue towards the tail end of this season, but we're and also the other thing too, and I had no idea about this on season 1. I think I made kind of a broad assumption based on like all the buzz and everything, but I think I kind of crossed my wires. So if I have it right, and right now I'm not trusting anything, but let's say if I have it right, it sounds like Win or Lose is going to be the first official like Pixar series, and this technically was Disney animated, Disney in conjunction with Pixar, but Pixar didn't necessarily have hands on the animation for this show, which is it's impressive, but it's also like, in one way, it's like this was always a thing that was feared, with the whole Circle 7 of it all. This was like, we don't want Pixar not animated by Pixar.
Well, we know that Pixar approved of this series overall, at least.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's kind of also another sense of it too. It's kind of like if you look on the small screen in Buzz Lightyear Star Command, we have there's like a whole show dedicated to Pixar didn't officially give the stamp of approval or the green light, and because of this, that's why it's not Disney Plus, which is a travesty and a crime, I'll say. And yet we're kind of doing that. We're almost doing that here. We're not exactly doing it because again, Pixar is involved in this, but it's the fact that we're kind of repeating the same thing, kind of.
Yep.
Only we're actually seeing the end result on Disney Plus. And I do wonder where that kind of leaves where that leaves Monsters at Work. Because right now, obviously things are kind of always shifting at Disney, but the latest buzz that we're hearing is like, we're very much leaning in a sequel, kind of a sequel-y, franchisey direction with the Pixar stuff. Again, kind of concerning that's not Pixar's call. I'm going to say that, but either way, we're kind of doing that now. But the way this season was distributed, it was not Disney Plus. It wasn't like quite the Disney Plus original the first season was. It was released through the Disney Channel, and I think there are moments in this season where again, it never dawned on me before. You can kind of see Disney TV production versus Pixar production. That's kind of good and bad. Again, good in that they replicated. It looks like Monsters Inc. But I'm seeing a lot more moments in season two that are little TV budget.
I mean, to be fair, that was also the issue with the first season as well.
Yes, I know that. That's the crazy thing is I didn't notice it really that much. Didn't see. I'll tell you why though. We didn't really get kids in the first. We had a baby. We didn't really a baby and one child, and everything else was a simulator. We actually had children this season. I think the children were very much like they stuck out like a sore thumb. That okay, TV budget.
All right.
But yeah, so this is the first time it really kind of dawned on me that we kind of had like a few things kind of sticking out like that here. Regardless, though, overall, I would concur with some of our commenters here that we made some really impressive Pixar, again Pixar infused story points here. The things that just felt like these are story directions that make sense. They're compelling, they're interesting, and I really like them. I don't think we fully brought it home, but I think the journey in getting there and just like the starting place for two, like we're making all the right moves until the very end.
Yep, I think so too.
Yeah.
Especially kind of interesting considering that the two of the should the this season has new showrunners behind it too.
Wait a minute, is that how? Who are showrunners for this? Because I thought it was Bob's Ganaway.
Yeah, he was involved for the first season. Yeah.
Okay, so he was not back for two because I see his credit on two. That's why I was a little lost on that.
I mean, because he's credited as still credited as the developer of the show.
Okay, that's
but basically, show running and directing duties were taken over by Kevin Dieters and Stevie Wormer-Skelton.
Okay, wait, so they weren't there. Wait, were they there? They were there for the first season.
No, I don't think they were. I don't think they were.
Really? Okay, that's the thing. I saw their names on that, and I was thinking they were there from the beginning. But okay, so I didn't know they took over then. Okay.
So yeah, they took over like Dieters took over as the executive producer, and Skelton took over as the supervising director.
Also mentioned again, essentially the prep and landing crew working on Monsters at Work. Then.
Yep. So there you go.
And of course, we love the prep and landing crew. Also, Olaf's Frozen Adventure. We love these guys. So I mean, if you're gonna kind of hand the keys over, the missing keys over, you want them to go to these guys.
And as seen, they know how to make like television animation work from this kind of thing.
That is very true.
So they seem like a good fit to take over.
Yeah. All right, Jake, did you have anything else you wanted to say, or should we transition or shout out some comments or what have you?
I was like, well, Claude thinks that season 2 might be better than season 1.
Which there's a solid argument for that. I think two does a lot. 2 is a lot more ambitious story wise, which I respect.
Well, season 1 did set up okay, it's a new status quo and all that. This is basically season 2 is continuing the status quo and even taking it in interesting directions.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we'll get a season 3?
That's
yeah. I mean, I see it as it's the ending is closed enough. It's close-ended enough where there's potential. It's if it is the final season, it's a satisfying conclusion, at least in my opinion. But it leaves some things open to allow a third season to happen.
I think if we do season 3, it has to follow different characters. That's at least what I feel in my bones. I don't know if they're going to necessarily do that because again, 2. I'd like to look at it like kind of Infinity Train to a degree. I like to look at it like, okay, we had kind of a 2-part story at the core of Infinity Train. Then when we came back for more, sadly not enough, but we came back for at least 2 more versus the 7 or so more that the creator wanted for that show, which he should have gotten because that show was great. Season 3, very different, very different set of characters and very good stories. So I mean, I think that's the way we should go for Monster Works season 3. I think we should follow some of the characters.
Right. Of course, two things I found out, kind of a spoiler up front, like Celia's not voiced by Jennifer Tilly, and Randall's back.
Yep.
So yeah, that happened. So let's get into it then. Episode 1.
Yeah, so we should mention we're going to be breaking this down a little bit more in depth than some other some things we've been doing lately, folks, because I think this season actually warrants it.
Yep, I mean we didn't go through like the Bad Batch, but there was a lot more to work with on that one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there were like 15 episodes in Bad Batch, and it would have made the discussion like a lot longer. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. We love Bad Batch season 3. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
All right, episode 1, A Monstrous Homecoming: The Return to Monsters U. That's another.
Yeah.
That's another thing that the season does. It actually brings elements from Monsters U into the mix.
I mean, overall, the big thing with season 2 is that we leave the factory. We leave Monsters Inc., which the first season is entirely set at Monsters Inc.
Yeah, we get to see like, and overall, this season like shows more Tyler's home life, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, which it was very interesting. So that's the thing. So we have like
we got to see more of his parents, of course, like John Ratzenberger, of course, voicing his dad.
Yep, I love all the voice cast for Tyler's family. By the way, John Ratzenberger as Bernie. We have the wonderful Aisha Tyler as Millie. Yeah, I was just searching for the name there, and then
Jennifer Lewis
as Virginia.
Yep.
Which again, great addition. So yeah, very very solid cast there. But yeah, you're right. It's great seeing Tyler's home life. And honestly, here's the thing: when I rewatched the first season of Monsters at Work, and mind you, the first time, we were going through and we were recapping, and like when it was coming out, it was very much like this is a very new thing. We were I was very sold on the plight of that character. I still am sold on the plight of that character when I rewatch the show. However, I do notice on the rewatch, there is a concern with his character that we luckily call out this season. The first season we didn't quite do that. Is that Tyler's whole shtick? His whole shtick where he's very there's a lot of awkward humor. There's a lot of he's I don't know if awkward's like the right word, but there's a lot of like over explaining. There's a lot of he's got the verbal diarrhea of the mouth, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing. Like Tyler, his screen presence was a little lacking on the rewatch of season 1, where I love that character's journey, but it's like the charm of the character I think lessened a little for me in season 1. Where I mean, again, I'm invested in him. I like everything about this character conceptually and where we go with him, but it's from getting to point A to point from point A to B of that season, it's like some of the stuff in the middle of that journey, it's like maybe it didn't quite sing as it did the first season, the first watch for me.
All right.
But again, too, I think made great strides to kind of maybe, I don't know if they maybe like looked at, or maybe Dieter's or so, like maybe looked at the first season, like, how can we strengthen kind of our Tyler stuff here? And I think, admittedly, episode 1 does show that problem, but again, it's kind of a low point for that character intentionally, where he has to over explain the jokester thing at the big at the big monster at the reunion at the big
the homecoming.
The homecoming, yes, the monsters, the homecoming itself.
Had Monsters U, yeah.
Yeah. Which Monsters University, very underrated Pixar film. Everyone's always kind of harsh. A lot of people are kind of harsh on Monsters University. I really like that movie, and I like seeing it. I like coming back to it. I like when we kind of factor into the kind of the world building of Monsters Inc. So it's very key to this show. So I like that all three of these Monsters projects, really do fit into each other rather succinctly.
It is nice, yeah. It's like, and of course they even got like Alfred Molina returning as Monster Knight, as Professor Knight.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, good. Love him.
I was hoping he'd appear more in the season, but it was nice to get him.
It's nice that he's in both seasons, though, and in episode 1 of both seasons. So he's there when we need him to be, and he's at Monsters University. So we're going there. He's got to be there.
Yep. Of course, I think Helen Mirren was harder to get a hold of, as Dean Hardscrabble.
Yeah, well, honestly, if we did, that's the thing I wonder though. If we do see kind of our legacy characters, we're gonna have to recast them. If we're recasting Jennifer Tilly, and Jennifer Tilly, like the only reason we probably didn't get Jennifer Tilly this season is she's busy doing all the Chucky stuff right now. That's what I suspect. Because I don't think she would like not come back for this. I don't even think it's a budget there. I think she would. I think she would love to come back for this.
Well, I mean, yeah, she did come back for season 1.
That's the thing. So I think it's pure like she's just busy in Chucky land right. That Chucky show is like taken off like ridiculously. Like people are gaga for it.
And in the new Disney racing game, they also same person who voiced her in this voiced her there too.
Yeah.
So it's like she's just probably unable to return due to like scheduling reasons.
Yeah. All right, real quick. Again, also we do have the voices we do have this season. We have a tremendous wealth of talent. We should mention our framing device this season. We should mention Jack and Jill, the I Scream You Scream kind of news debate show with the conjoined debaters.
Yep, it's like Jill. Like they really like make you like, okay, Jill's kind of out to get Jack for really no reason most of the time. And she's like, oh, all you do at therapy is you just talk about your feelings. It's like, that's the point of therapy.
So, by the way, Joe Latrulio from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Charles Boyle from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, he voices Jack, and I love him. He's great.
And Ali Wong.
Yeah, the great Ali Wong, who, of course, was superb in the show Beef.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, she's, they're having a blast. Yeah, there's a lot of love for Pixar all over the place. There's never like a hesitation in getting the voice talent. It's just the only thing is like something like again a scheduling conflict. It would seem.
Yeah. But yeah, they're conjoined news hosts with complete different personalities.
Yeah, it's like what if Cat Dog hated each other? It's kind of what it feels like.
Hate each other more than they already do.
There you go. Well, come on, that's sibling rivalry, if anything.
Well, it's more one-sided on Cat's end, but true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't hate Dog, he just hates the things that Dog does.
Fair enough.
He loves him.
Even if you discuss him.
Yeah, well, of course.
Ugh. I just remembered a certain scene from that show, and I'm not going to bring it up. And I'm not going to bring it up now.
Okay. Anyway. See, when I think of Cat Dog, I think of the Sumo episode, which is delightful. But
I know, but I watched that episode when I was younger, and it's been burned in my brain ever since.
Yep.
I think all of you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay. Anyway.
Especially considering recent events.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that, dude. She was probably unavailable to come back for season because of Chucky as well as Family Guy. And that's when they got Roxana Ortega to voice Celia.
Yeah.
Which she does she's not in this season much, but she does a good job.
Yeah, I think it's pretty seamless, honestly. I mean, if I didn't know, I would say, like, yeah, she's in the season.
I mean, I noticed something slightly different, but she didn't do too bad.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, the whole Googly Bear doesn't quite have like the same same zeal, but yeah, it's pretty close.
Yep.
Anyway, so big thing this is again the challenge of being a jokester here. So this was an ingenious thing in episode 1 that I love that they hit here. That I never thought of it because I was I was so happy that Tylor achieved his goal at the end of the first season. I never thought about where do we go from here? Like what's the downside of being a jokester? Well, basically being a jokester is like being a comedian with a regular audience. Where it's like could you potentially be performing for an audience of one who is the same person who's heard all of your material, so you're gonna bomb.
It's like constantly coming up with new material, trying to stay fresh. Basically, the only thing fresh is his donuts.
Exactly.
And the routine, stale.
Sadly.
Yep.
Anyway, so here's the thing, Tylor. If you look at his style of Tylor is essentially Gallagher.
He tries to be Gallagher anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like his whole it's kind of an amateur Gallagher, or his whole thing. He's a trick comic, not a prop comic. Well, he uses props, but more specifically, he's a comic with a gimmick, which basically he builds to a big trick. Where it's like, okay, like, here's the thing. Tylor ultimately in the first season kind of lays this out, which leads us to the donuts. Is that his success is in his bumbling. Is that it should be like basically it's like pratfall comedy. That's essentially what Tylor is. He's the clumsy guy with the big horns, which is kind of like what we saw with Flem or Mr. Bile,
Who's still going strong this season from what I could see.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So basically, if he patterned himself more like that guy, but if he changed it up from the donuts, he might be able to do a little bit more there. But again, the point being, it's a lot harder than it looks.
Plus, not to mention doing away with the laugh record, kind of like making him like feel like the whole thing is becoming pointless.
It's also drama is easy, comedy is hard. Scaring kids easy, just roar and be as terrifying as possible. The other thing, it's a comedy,
which this season does highlight.
Oh yeah. So there is an easy path, and there's the difficult path. Anyway, so I just love that we found a solid dilemma this season, which I think kind of parallels, the Monsters University thinking, which again is what I loved, where we have like a solid dilemma here, where Mike wants to be a scare, but he is not scary. That is a great dilemma to give that character.
And so he finds his calling as the assistant.
Yeah,
to help the scarer achieve maximum scares.
Exactly. So again, that's Pixar thinking that is very much infused in this season, which I love. I'm just impressed that we.
In all honesty, honestly, considering this final episode, I thought that's where it was going. That's where that was kind of going to go this season.
Yeah.
And they actually changed it up in a way that I'm kind of surprised by. So that's another Pixar thing they got going there.
Mm-hmm. So I'm also impressed that we really made use of Fearco as Monsters Inc.'s competition and kind of the stakes for the season, because at the end of Monsters, here's the thing: blindly, you would think, based on the first movie, it's like, okay, there's one scare company, but when you really think about it, as like there are other companies, and we really demonstrated at the tail end of Monsters University, where we saw all the scare cards. You had like Fearco and the Scarers, and and Monsters Inc. So we.
And speaking of which, the return of Nathan Fillion.
Yes. Oh yeah. So that was
as Johnny Worthington the third.
So I think the best choice, one of the best decisions of the entire season was. One we all love Nathan. Aunts especially, almost as much as Paul Rudd, but aunts love Nathan Fillion. Aunts and moms love Nathan Fillion.
You mean like Aunt Man?
Exactly. But that's the thing. So I love Nathan Fillion, and he's here's the thing: Nathan Fillion has appeared in a Pixar film before, and he was good, but we did not give him a character with as much depth as we did ultimately with Johnny Worthington in this season.
Wait, who is he before Johnny Worthington?
He was not before, but like after Johnny Worthington. He also played another character. He played Mr. Sterling in Cars 3.
Oh.
So again, not technically before Monsters University, but the point being, that's the other character that he has played. And similarly, given what we do with Johnny this season, that's very much kind of like, Sterling is a character who initially is introduced. He's got a little bit of some layering there, but we kind of, he kind of peters out. Like, okay, he's the rich guy. It's pretty much all he is. But Worthington here again. Worthington is very much like, okay, he's the Joe College favorite. He's the purebred. He's the '80s, not even a fully an '80s bully, but he's kind of an '80s bully. But that's the thing. Even then, I liked in University, he's not a bad guy, but it's the adversarial thing. He's the opposition. He's the competition.
He's the college rival.
Exactly. He's the college rival, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I love that we kind of built from there, and we did something far more interesting, where he sees the potential in Tylor. He sees which parallels his own stuff.
Not to mention, he's now married with kids.
which I love, and I love that he essentially married his college sweetheart. With Claire, who was voiced by Audrey Plaza. It was, I believe was in Monster University as that character. I think.
Yep, she was.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's see. So anyway, the point being, Tylor, we acknowledge, at the big thing we acknowledge his awkward shtick, which we show bigly here, is that it's kind of like it's the worst thing a comedian could deal with. If you over explain the joke, if you over explain the humor, it's not good. So
some people can make it work, but it's a very hard thing to do.
like, unless you're John Mulaney, it's probably not going to work out.
Yeah, it's like
yeah, it's like that guy could read, that guy could deconstruct or talk about the invention of the joke and make it funny.
It's like, sometimes, as a wise man, well, maybe not so wise man once said, sometimes you gotta take hits from people that don't get the joke.
Yep. That man was a mass murderer.
Yep, I mean, still has a good point though at least when it comes to comedy.
He does, and he'll hit you with a swordfish out a window.
Yes, but
yeah.
Just because someone's an insane maniac doesn't mean they don't have something right every once in a while.
That is true. Okay, so then we have Tylor. He's working late, and the big mix moment here, where Tylor he accidentally squirts jelly into his eye, and he's like kind of screams a little bit there out of pain. He scares the kid. So in the canister, there's some laughter mixed in with some scream,
and something odd happens to the canister.
Now, I like this for two reasons. One, I really like that Tylor backslides in the scaring in a natural way. It wasn't intentional; it was an honest mistake. And then we have consequence for this that directly sets up the plot of episode 2. But I'm sorry, before we go any further, there are two things we got to mention.
Oh, Little Blue. It's Johnny Worthington married Claire.
Yes.
Go on.
Okay, two things. One, we got to talk about Mike and Sully.
Oh yeah, it's like Mike Weirdszowski.
I love this plot so much. I love that Mike is so incensed. He called him. He's on hold the whole episode, and he even insults the lady. He finally gets through on the phone, and then he has to do it all again.
And also, speaking of things this season does better, we get a lot more Mike and Sully this season,
which was something the first season was kind of lacking. It's not something we necessarily. I understand we needed to show these characters can stand on their own 2 feet, but we need Mike and Sully. Honestly, the most interesting aspect of this whole Monsters Inc. continuation is like these characters in positions we have never seen them in before. Like Sully as a CEO, which he's uncomfortable with,
and Mike as basically his vice, and basically, and I'm trying to convince the world abroad that laughs are just as viable, especially more viable than screams.
So I love that we did more with that here.
Yeah, and of course, Jack from Jack and Jill is all for this laugh power, while Jill is not in for it at all.
Nope.
And then Mike even calls her to give him a piece of his mind, like, not just a piece, the whole mind.
So the other thing we had to talk about too. One of the great visual gags this season, Cameron, the new assistant, Cameron.
Thank you, Cameron.
God, I love Cameron.
And of course, it's established early on as like where Sully's dealing with paperwork, and he's just like, and then he's like, I'm finally done.
And big old Cameron drops big old plot of the big old tower paperwork. Thank you, Cameron.
Thank you, Cameron. And then and this is later, but everyone's like, okay, Cameron, thank you, Cameron. And then later on, when Mike's need eye drops, he's like, thank you, Cameron, like a legitimate thank you, Cameron.
Yep. So, by the way, Cameron, bit of a nod to the show Police Squad, which basically, Police Squad feeds in Naked Gun. So that's what it's a nod to.
It's like, I don't know. I remember specifically what a Naked Gun is worth. Like, you're talking about the tall guy who's off camera.
Yeah. So he also made his way into the first Naked Gun. Basically, you have a tall guy who was completely off frame every time.
It's like you have something on your face.
The banana falls.
Yep.
Yeah, that's him.
All right.
Anyway,
it's like it also kind of reminded me of almost like Ted from the first movie.
Well, exactly. Yeah, there's a little bit of yeah.
Like, Dad, good morning.
I love the fact that they wanted the gods roar and they would not give them that. So I mean, the chicken sound is better.
It's funny. Yeah. And then
Anyway,
and
also
then
the one of the best symbols of the season:
yeah.
Boo's picture on Sully's desk.
Yeah, but it's like the reminder of why they're doing this.
This is so insanely good because I love that it's a little touch, you know. It's like he took the picture, it was on the clipboard, which is a huge moment, clearly, and then we the fact that it's on his desk and Sully's like he's happy about life and everything, and he's feeling confident, he's feeling reinvigorated. Because it was kind of a rough transition the first season for him, but at the end, like we the audience who saw Monsters Inc. know exactly what happens when he walks off at the end of that season. But it's just I love that it gives just a taste. Yet again, it pulled the same hat trick at the end of Monsters Inc. We did not see Boo, but we felt her, and I loved it in that little moment.
Kitty.
Yep, it's like I love that it kind of makes the mind race. Like, is he regularly visiting Boo, and we're just not seeing it? Like it makes you wonder. Anyway,
It's kind of interesting that the show like explicitly decided not to show Boo at all, which I think is a smart and leave it ambiguous in a way.
yeah, that does bring about the question though in the future though.
I
Do
know
we
that's
do it?
I know that's something people want, but I don't think it's really that necessary.
No, you're right, but I'm just saying if we keep pressing in the sequel direction, though, I mean, I don't know if right now if they're gonna try and revive Monsters Inc. on the big screen or not. If we're just gonna do a third season, which again, I never imagined we would ever do like another Monsters Inc. on the big screen. But we're that's kind of the direction things are looking at least at this moment in time. If anyone's watching this, years later and says, "Well, what is he worried about? None of this ever happened. It all went belly up. What was he talking about?" But it's anywho, episode 2.
Episode 2, The Creep Show.
So we go to a monster con. No, not the horror con. No, an actual monster con.
The convention for reliable energy efficiency and power.
Yes, I love that acronym.
It is a good acronym, yes.
But yeah, so this is basically, it's like there are in real life there are energy expos. There are, like basically like conventions that are not just comic cons, like companies have, or like stuff like.
Like a Stark Expo.
Well, I mean, essentially, yes. And there's also like health conventions and like tattoo conventions and like all sorts of again, they're probably energy conventions, just company conventions. Like
I mean,
vendors and
there's
stuff.
basically a convention for almost anything you can think of.
Yeah, Otakon, a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, this is basically for the energy industries.
And
So the whole point of this
and
episode, yep,
yeah, and after a brief glimpse in the previous episode, we finally get to revisit Mift
yes, bring our mifters back.
and the new employee Roger Rogers.
Okay, so how do you feel about Roger Rogers?
I mean, he just seems like a bit of just a very eccentric guy up front. Of course, Reese Darby voices him with much glee.
I gotta be honest. The first watch, I didn't care for Roger Rogers, and on the second watch, I mean, I'm still iffy on him. I think I'm a little bit more okay with him, but every time I look at him, though, it just feels like, yeah, he's a green herring ultimately.
Yeah,
I know I get what we're going for, but even when we reveal who he is, it's like I don't believe at all that he would be related to that guy.
I mean, I can see it in a way.
I mean, yeah, I get it. He has that many eyes, but still, I don't know. It's still it's like it's a buy. It's a big buy.
All right.
All I'm saying, that's just my taste, though. I'm sure some people like Roger. I mean, clearly when they're making this, they like Roger Rogers. They did a lot with him. He's singing the Leak a Leak song. They do a lot with him.
Like, of course, we get Henry Winkler back as Fritz.
Okay, we need like I've now realized like I almost want a banner. We don't need this banner. I'm not legitimately suggesting this, but like if we had a banner that would say "We love Fritz." I love Fritz, man. I don't know how you feel about Fritz. I love him.
Oh man, I love Fritz. He's just so delightful.
God, I mean, he's voiced by one of the most magnetic actors in TV history, with Henry Winkler.
It's like I still remember and he still has the fondness for the vending machine and the
Vendy.
cooler. Vendy. It's like remember I still remember like one of my favorite interactions when we covered the previous season was it's like never mess with the doohickey.
I remember, honestly, I thought one of your favorite Fritz lines was every time I rewatched it, I was like, oh man, that's the line Jacob really likes. It was the "You win again, empty chair."
Yeah, that is a good one. I need to
But
rewatch.
yeah,
I need to rewatch to remember that. But yeah,
regardless, I freaking love Fritz. I love everything about him, and he's just great. And we use so much great Fritz stuff this season.
he's like even in the previous episode, he's like trying to get a good view of Tylor on the field,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, well, that's either one of the monsters or this guy's spleen. Like, of course, we not to mention Val's back. We saw Val in the first episode, but here we see more of her here.
Mm-hmm.
And an animated Mindy Kaling character that's actually likable.
Yeah.
And we get to see Cutter again. Nice to see her. Duncan. I mean, and speaking of which, they kind of toned down Duncan's rivalry with Tylor a bit. It's still there, but not nearly as prevalent.
I mean,
as
there was an arc in the first season. He was, obviously the right when he covered for him with the inspector, the EPA guy. They kind of bonded after that point.
I mean, and it's still obviously there, and he's like looking for basically advancement, like hoping Fritz retires and trying to get but he's not actively out to like ruin Tyler's job anymore.
Because Duncan's likability was a bit of an issue in the first season, and I think ultimately I think Duncan's funny, but sometimes it's like okay, he's just being difficult for the sake of being difficult versus just like being in character difficult, But here I think we ironed that out.
I mean he's like more focused on like getting the job and like protecting things than he is just like like he legitimately believes something's going on instead of trying to get him in trouble just for the sake of getting him in trouble.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Okay, so we're at the con. The point of the episode is to show Tylor has an alternate path that was never considered, which again is a big strength of this season. It's like one of those could have had a V8 moments. It's Pixar thinking at its finest. It's just the whole thing of like, well, yeah, why didn't he go to Fearco? It's like that isn't enough.
Well, wasn't it like because like Monsters Inc. is like the premier one, and like the moment, like remember, like the conceit was like the moment that he went there to be accepted as a scare was like the day they switched over to laugh power.
Yeah, well, no, we do have an actual reason why he did go there instead of like a Fearco. I'm not saying there isn't a reason. I'm just saying it's like if he was really discouraged with the jokester thing, he did have a viable fallback, but he had tunnel vision in season 1 for Monsters Inc. And the reason he went to Monsters Inc. is, well, one, you're right, premier scare company, very storied, but also, he got a recommendation. He got essentially like a, Waternoose, hired him on the spot, because of his scare record, because he's trying to be the next Sully, the James P. Sullivan. That's why he was on the track to become. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I think he just wanted to give the old joking a try at that point.
Well, he did because again, he wanted like this is the new direction for things, and he was here, and he's still kind of inspired by Sully, so there's a lot there.
Yep.
All right, so laugh power is highly doubted at the Creep Show,
and they give him like boop 66 and a half.
Yep,
which is
60 and a half or 66 and a half.
I know it's like I'll remember explicitly is the half.
I think it's 60, and I'll bet you it's 60 and a half.
Well, I'm not gonna doubt it.
Okay,
but
anyway,
and basically it gets right next to a bathroom, and I love how basically the running thing with Fritz is that it just becomes like a bathroom attendant and makes pretty good money out of it.
I love that so much. I love he's like so friendly. He's like, how would you like this t-shirt? It was manufactured with love, and it's used as like a hand towel, and he gives him a mint, and he gets it's great.
And then I give him like, would you like to read this pamphlet? It's like, you have anything longer? Oh, it's like he actually, and the funny thing is, the money that he makes actually comes into play later.
It's great.
It's amazing
Use
how much
use
like see the seemingly innocuous things in the show come back later in this series in a season.
Jacob. They use every part of the buffalo,
Every part of the buffalo.
or I guess the barfalo in this case. But
Barfalo.
you get the
Barfalo, yeah.
idea.
I get the idea, yeah.
Anyway, so let's see. Okay, so Duncan made an awesome model of Duncan's mom made an awesome
I,
model of
I held
Monstropolis.
I got to hold the glue.
Yeah. So I love that, and I love that like Smitty.
This season really emphasizes how much Duncan basically lives for his mother's approval.
Yep.
The question is like later, do you think Declan is related to him or just someone who looks like him?
I think he just looks like him. Because the thing about Gary, he just looks like him.
All right, fair enough. It's like, but it just seemed like he knew him, like Declan. I don't know.
It would be hilarious though if they were like actually related, and he was looking for father's approval and he was looking for mother's approval. That'd be great, but I don't think that's the case.
I mean, it's kind of maybe you could call it a missed opportunity.
Maybe.
But who knows?
We do have kind of this thing. I think it's like a built-in joke, though. Every monster is a doppelganger. We have Roz and Rose, we have Mike and Gary, and now we have Duncan and Declan.
Yep. So wonder who one. I guess if you count Sully and Tyler, maybe, but they're not exactly. They're not exactly doppelgangers, though.
That doesn't. No, it's not an actual doppelganger. No.
I know. But
Yep.
thematically, though.
Well, sure, yeah, thematically.
So I only wonder where exactly Sully's doppelganger is.
Season 3.
Maybe.
Yep. All right. Everything Sully's doppelganger is going to just look like the original model for Sully. It's going to be like a furry guy with tentacles for legs.
And Mike's doppelganger looked like a blue version of him, but his original doppelganger didn't have legs.
Yeah.
Or hands. I don't remember exactly.
Well, no, that's like he didn't have hands and arms. He only had like the appendages that worked for both hands and feet. So it was like essentially feet.
All right.
So he didn't have arms. He had the feet that could work as arms.
I like new Mike better.
Well, we all like new Mike, and we also like Mike's new car.
Mike's new car.
Yeah.
I miss my old car.
Okay.
Yep, sorry.
All right, anyway, let's see. So, Needleman and Smitty, they keep wanting to play with the model.
Like, despite Duncan's like constant like, no, only I can control the model.
We have the great Kurtwood Smith as the Scaremaster's head, the head of Scaremasters. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Let's see. So, so Tylor, he's getting made fun of by these the college puke monsters.
Yeah, it's like
they're said like I'm using a Patton Oswalt line, like the old college puke.
Yeah, and they're constantly just making fun of him, and they're like, he's a jokester.
Jester, he was the Scare King. Now he's a jester, and he gets so mad he storms into the Fearco.
The Fearco machine, in which he basically obliterates it.
Yep, his scream again. He has he's a record-breaking roar, which basically destroys the simulator.
I mean, it basically shows once again why he was the Scare King.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and he is next generation, James B. Sullivan.
Yep. And of course, this draws the attention of Johnny.
Yeah, which leads to a job offer. Which again, I was gobsmacked. Like that is an insanely good idea. Tylor is presented with a viable option, which that's where we get great. Again, it's kind of the gray matter thing from Breaking Bad. It's like, okay, where does an interesting character choice come in? Walter White, he's in a very understandable position, but then we present him with perfect out. Rich people that want to give him money. Why would he keep doing what he's doing? And that's where the character comes out. We have a viable solution for Tylor here. At least it would seem a viable solution.
Yep.
Yeah.
Johnny and his new Scream amplifier.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
We also have some tension with the the laugh and scream filled canister from the end of last episode is about to be used in a demonstration.
And of course, the big revelation: Sully's scared of public speaking.
Yeah, which tracks. Again, he's not comfortable with the whole CEO thing. He's
but
getting used to it.
but he has Mike with him to help him along. And this again kind of shows like this is why they work together so well. Like they just Mike's able to like turn like they basically like turn his initial flub into like some kind of joke.
I love just Mike saying like, "Push the button, Sully."
Push the button.
Great.
Yeah. And of course like they hook it up to this, hook it up to there, and of course it works. The
But yeah,
model.
like it works. Like it's we had the scream. They put in the scream like there's scream energy and there's laugh energy, which initially works. It's very bright, but before it overloads, which we close the curtain on that.
Fortunately, they're able to prevent a disaster from happening.
Oh, a disaster happens in the bathroom though.
Yep.
Like brings here's the thing: if you can do a bathroom joke, this is the way to do it. Just we bring the giant canister in there.
the guy's reaction to the whole thing is like, "You do," and then Tyler's like, "You do not want to go in there." The entire guy's reaction is like, "What is going on in there? Do I even want to know?" It's like, "Do I even want to know what's going on in there?"
Fun detail.
Yeah.
If you look at the wet floor sign that he puts there, that's actually from the supplemental material for Monsters Inc. And which basically Mike Wazowski is he's the model on the caution sign. It's like he's like the monster. It's a little one eyed monster that's slipping and falling.
Nice.
All right.
Like,
So yeah, Sully does the thing where he's like, you know what? Let's just have a conversation. Who has questions? It all works out for Sully. Everyone got swag.
and that's where Sully's like true strengths shine. Like instead of like all the like rehearsed public speak, he's just like, okay, let's just ask me a question.
Yep. And here's the thing: we did a lot more with Mike and Sully this season, but I gotta tell you, I live for that sort of stuff, and I can never get enough of it. I would love to see more of like Sully in the position of the CEO, which we did more of here than we did in the first season. But you know what? Let's do more of it.
And we even get to see Mike in his executive position as well.
Yep.
So yeah,
All right. Anyways,
like I said, that's another thing this season improved on was more of Mike and Sully.
all right. Moving on. Episode 3.
Setting the table.
Okay, this is a gold episode here. This is just it's a very sitcom-y idea. Tylor. It's basically a sitcom mixed with Mrs. Doubtfire. It's very much with this one. It's a classic.
Minus the cross dressing.
Yeah, there's a lot of dressing. There's a lot of costume changes, but no cross dressing.
Yeah, it's like this is where he wants to meet, where Johnny Worthington invites Tylor out for dinner for his job offer.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out all the Mifters show up just because the other day Rose decided not to go to the other one, so they decided to go to this one.
Exactly. So again, classic comedy premise of okay, we have like it's almost Frasier-esque. It's kind of a Frasier Mrs. Doubtfire. Again, it's many shows. It's a time-tested comedy thing, which in a show about laugh power is something you want to do. It's the idea of like Tyler needs to be in two places at once and not let the other one know what's going on. And Val is his go-between. Again, his Mike Wazowski to his Sully, if you will.
And like, what was the operation?
God, I'm trying to remember. I remember what the nicknames were. I just don't remember. It was
Donut
Boy and Unicorn. It was Unicorn Sparkle or Unicorn
Sparkle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like basically, like Val's all in for this plan, despite Tylor not being wanting to be a part of it, especially the nicknames. So
with Alan Tudyk as our waiter.
I completely didn't know that was him.
Yeah, that's him. Well, really, you didn't know that was Alan Tudyk?
No, I didn't see the credits for it.
Well, I mean, still, I mean, like, yeah, performance-wise, I mean, that feels very Alan Tudyk.
No, I did. I didn't know who it was. I didn't recognize it.
He's good.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if he's able not to know who it's him. Yeah, he did good.
Anyway,
And he even gets into a bit of a fling with Rose.
yep, and it makes sense, you know. They're both slugs essentially.
It's like, it's like, yeah. Hey, lover boy. Oh God.
I love that when he first sees her, she's like so dazed and just not.
Oh my God.
God, he's like, she's a vision.
A vision.
Yeah.
And it's with a French slug accent. It's kind of amazing that the slug is French. You know, like escargot.
There, with the escargot, I always think of that scene from The Jerk, where it's like, waiter, waiter. Okay, don't look, don't look, just don't burn it. Appears not to look. It's like they're, you know, in a restaurant with all this fancy food, and for these prices, you should be able to keep the snails off the food.
Yeah, I mean he's not wrong.
God, it's so funny.
It is, yeah.
Anyway, so it's Fritz's 40th work anniversary, and it's very
And
the tropical kind of Hawaiian theme.
yeah, considering the restaurant they were going to go to was that, but they decided not to go there.
Yeah, so basically, it's like kind of a tiki bar sort of thing.
Yeah, I still want to go to one of those.
Yeah,
It's like, and of course Duncan is like hoping for him to retire, hoping for Fritz to retire finally.
yep.
So
Tylor dressing up in the dinner jacket. I love Johnny's style, man. Like here's the thing, Johnny's design. He's put on weight, you know, since Mozzie versus time has passed. Same thing with Sully, and like there's a realism there, and he's also he plays the executive. So let me tell you why I love Nathan Fillion in this show.
yeah,
Specifically, why I think Johnny Worthington works so great here. I don't know how many Better Call Saul fans we have in the audience right now, but he Nathan Fillion very naturally very charming, which he plays here. He's charming, soft spoken. You know, he's very relatable, and the way we're playing him as a boss here, as like you know, a guy who owns a company and a guy who's trying to steal someone away, he's very much like Rich Schweikert from Better Call Saul. When that guy was introduced in season one, he was it was an adversarial sort of thing where he was introduced kind of as a bad guy, but as we saw, not a bad guy at all. You know, he is. You know, he was not a bad guy. He was just his job. Is like he's like going up against our other lawyers, and every season after that with this guy, like he was insanely like, man, this guy is he's rather charming. And you know it's very basically hired away one of the characters for Better Call Saul, and it was So there's a lot of Rich Schweikert there, where initially a character you would see as maybe if you look at him from Monster University, he was kind of an antagonist. You know, he's seemingly like Fierco being the competition, but he's a very reasonable guy.
I mean at least up front.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, honestly, Jake, that's kind of my issue. Is that until the big twist at the end, I think we were making all the right moves with this character. I think he was absolute. I think we should have maintained this to the very end. Honestly, I thought that was such an interesting way to go. Where this guy actually is he's very forthright with it's like, I mean, you're playing hardball. I understand that. And he's,
It's like, okay, you want, it's like, okay, never accept the first offer. Like, I see where you're going. You want a company car.
like, there's nothing bad about this guy at all. Like he's offering money and a car, and he's not like skeezy about it. You know, he's like, how's your mother? He seems like they genuinely care. You know, he's a very charming, nice guy.
Yep.
Yeah. And also the big thing too, the life advice here, the whole you can't escape who you are.
Yep. He's like, so embrace it.
Yeah.
Which ends up not being very good life advice.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. I like that there's an 8-corner truth there, and you can kind of see where a guy could build the company that he did based on that advice, and it's not really coming from a bad place when he says that. It's an honest place. It's a place that perpetuates scare power versus laugh power, but
Yeah.
So again, it resonates with the themes of Monsters University too when you think about it, because you have it's what Tyler's it's kind of what Tyler and Val are going through here.
Yeah, and kind of what Mike did. Like, obviously learning that he can't be not scary, but he has other strengths. Like, basically, find your strength.
Yeah. All right, then we have like the phone call gig and everything, and like just a lot.
It's like I heard you because I'm right next to you.
Yeah, we have like karaoke, a lot of fun things in this episode.
And even Mike was like talking about this. Like, we really need to update our songs. Like, and of course the big, and of course the big announcement from Fritz.
I'm I'm going down to one drooler cooler a day.
And then like, Duncan already made like a happy retirement sign. Like, kind of jumped the gun there a little bit.
But again, I love how we close out this episode. I love that Johnny is like he covers for Tyler. When he shows up there, he pretends like, oh yeah, so he's meeting for the first time. It's a classy move.
Yep.
All right.
And Johnny, and turns out Johnny left a scare card of his own father behind.
Now that's the big question. I mean, given where we go at the end of the season, it seems like very intentional move. But even before any potentially sinister undertones, do you think like genuinely left it behind, or do you think a manipulation to get him there to show him around the place?
Who knows? It's kind of ambiguous knowing how it ended.
Yeah. All right, episode 4.
Opening doors. So this is where we actually see Tyler visit Fearco.
Yeah, and Fear goes pretty swanky.
He's like, yep, and of course Chet.
Now, Chet, we did recast. Interestingly, if memory serves, Chet in Monster University was J.B. Smooth from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
And he was who was he here again?
Well, now he's Bobby Moynihan.
All right, and I didn't even. I mean, wasn't really that big of a character in the movie anyway, right?
Uh, no, not particularly. Just looked honestly just looked cool.
All right, and now he's basically his desk secretary,
But that's the thing. I like the logic that he took a lot of his college pals with him.
which
You
is
know,
nice.
he married one, and he hired the other, and then later on he's in a secret alliance with another. But you know,
which I thought was a pretty interesting, nonetheless.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, so gives Tyler, Tyler's returning the card, and he ends up getting the tour of Fear Co. And it's very tempting.
Yeah,
Even has a little cafe area that's I think a bit of a nod to the Luxo Cafe from Pixar.
it does look a pretty neat cafe, yeah.
Yeah,
But it turns out the scares don't have much time to enjoy it, as we learn later on,
sadly.
which is a shame, really.
Yeah, so he
And this is all happening during Tyler's hour-long lunch break at Monsters Inc.,
yeah,
which goes on longer than anticipated.
yeah.
And what exactly happens in the meantime?
Well, Val's covering for Tyler, and she ends up.
And this plants some seeds that end up becoming very important later on.
Yeah, she ends up going in the room and getting the fill in the can with laughter.
Yeah, much more than Tyler ever did.
Yeah. So, so Tyler keeps his promise to Val. He does not take the job offer, and he turns Johnny down. Johnny respects it. He's not heartbroken about it. It's not like an insult. He's just like, it's the risk of a door closing, though. That's the thing. It's the door closing on this path. And I like there's like a real true to life sort of thing there with it.
A lot of this entire franchise involves opening and closing doors,
Oh yeah.
physically and metaphorically.
Now I'm not thrilled about kind of our Mifter plot this episode. I do love the Western introduction, but aside from that, the whole thing with Sonny, Cutter's ex. Here's the thing, I Cutter's like love life. I feel is better. It's so hilarious when it's left to the imagination. When we see like, okay, there's Cutter's ex. It's a little less interesting for me.
Kinda.
You know,
Yeah,
So it was kind of a weak sauce element of season 2, and then
but
the whole like hunting for leaks thing.
obviously it's something else that comes into play later on.
It does. It does. Like the big thing we get from Sonny is the whole refining area. We learn about how the whole refinement process works, which
I get like actually how the screams get distributed to the city.
and this is interesting because in in Monsters Inc. Originally we were going to see more of the refinery, and they completely cut all that out. This is when they were trying to figure out what to do with Sully, because originally Sully was not a scarer; he was an aspiring scarer, and who actually worked in the refinery where she works. And they again in figuring things out. Like, okay, so we should basically have Sully at the top of his game versus like a guy who basically is like Mike from Monster University. That's essentially
and
where the idea was.
they decided to use it here.
Yeah, well, not specifically use it here, but just the idea of like, hey, let's kind of explore this aspect of like like how the refinery process works in our world building.
It's the Buffalo all over again.
Yep.
In this case, it's a long unused part of the Buffalo, but still.
Hey, look at Toy Story 2, man. Okay, they used ideas from the first movie. They
I mean,
discarded.
heck, look at Alonzo. He was originally supposed to be in the first movie.
That's the thing, right there. It's like using every part of the Buffalo, digging, going further back, man.
Even stuff that was supposed to be there from the beginning didn't really work out. Let's revisit it, see if make it work here.
Original pitch for Toy Story with Tinny. It had Lotso and it had it had the daycare ending, both of which came back in Toy Story 3.
And it really worked out well there.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So here's something. Johnny being a family man, we really we kind of we showed that, but anyway, that. So he's got kids and he seems content with life.
Yep.
I like, as I'm saying, I love everything about Johnny here. He's a family man. He's got Chet as the assistant, all that.
Chet still just wants to, or at least seemingly wants to, like, be noticed by Johnny more.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, I never got a tour, which is a shame because he works there.
That's really sad.
Yeah, it is.
All right, Rosie. Rosie was a monster in the first season that Tylor was in the comedy class with, and this is interesting. This is a great idea. Again, there's not tension. Holy, oh no, he's been caught by Rosie. Is there going to be like a threat he's going to have to deal with? Like, no. They have a nice conversation in which Rosie basically says, "Yeah, I couldn't cut it. I mean, I just look in the mirror." It's like, "Yeah, what did you see?" Well, I saw a big scary monster. It's like, "Yeah, no, I mean, I saw a big scary monster. I can't entertain children."
which is actually kind of like a real, like, oh, what do you know?
It's a really good point. It's like,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be hard.
He's like, yeah, someone who looks that way. It's like not every kid is gonna find that kind of thing funny.
Yeah.
It helps that a lot of the other monsters have, like, cuter designs, or like more like designs that can be exploited for comedic purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Her, not so much.
Yep.
I mean, she could probably make it work, but not easily anyway. So she basically did what Tylor was planning on doing here. Just went to Fearco.
All right, anyway, so Duncan finds the Fearco coffee cup with Tyler's name on it, and
We found our leaky leak.
oh yeah, okay, that brings us to episode 5, one of my favorites this season.
I knew, like, considering this is a film noir one, I kind of was like, oh, Dragon's gonna like this one.
Yeah, it's coming from outside the house and inside the house. Sorry, inside the house.
Like, you're a sucker for film noir stuff.
Yeah. Wait a minute, is it outside the house or inside the house? Actually,
It's inside the house.
I'm saying with the stoop thing. That's what makes me okay.
It's coming from inside the house is the title.
Gotcha.
Confirmed it on both Google and Wikipedia.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, I love this episode. I enjoy, as we kind of set up. We love the Tuskman family. I really love adding depth with the father, with the failing business. What we learned to be is the Tuskman hardware is actually falling on hard times, and I love that moment where
It gives Tylor more impetus to potentially consider joining Fearco.
God, I love everything about that. I love that we're like, okay, there's even more reason to go with Fearco right now, and he already turned down that job. Like this is fascinating. Like Tyler has quite the dilemma right now, and also we love Ratzenberger,
Of
and we
course.
gave him some pathos here. We gave him some pathos. Like it was. I love the way that scene was performed, where he confessed, like because we took you out of the retirement home because we can't afford it.
It's like the entire scene. It's like they didn't want you there. They kicked you out. Like and the truth is he didn't want her to worry. He's like, we can't afford it.
Which
Like,
again is just such a wonderfully played, just vulnerable moment for this comedic character.
yeah. And we even learned that that Virginia's husband was a scarer himself. Oh,
Yeah, and so she was
she
scared.
was the scarer, yeah. But she stopped to raise her son.
Which again kind of connects the dots for what Tyler might have to do, to help his family out.
Yeah, like I really like Grandpa Tuskman's design. Like we only see him in a picture, but like he was huge.
I love that we get basically the Tuskman name we get from this guy because he had tusk.
I mean he was basically his face was basically all tusk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. His face is all tusk. That's where we got the name from, and also it's where she got her cane from.
Yep, he's always with me. And your heart? No, he's in my cane.
Yeah, he always supported me.
even now, I have his tusk is my cane.
It's great.
I mean, like she was very small compared to him.
Yep. So we ultimately we sell our we sell the scare cards.
Which was very sad. Like, and like the lady was like trying to like lowball it, like get like a couple things for it, like a couple.
$3.
Yep, and then like basically the mifters come along and raise the price.
God bless those mifters.
And then Fritz with the money that he got from being the bathroom attendant.
Yep, I love Fritz coming on there and he's just saying, "Oh, I love things that are pre-loved."
And like even like earlier, like when he offered more, he's like, you do realize the point of haggling is to lower the price, right? It's like bless Fritz, bless Fritz.
God bless Fritz. God bless that elephant-looking monster.
Yeah, he's just such a nice guy.
Yes. But yeah, so it's really nice. They all come together. They help him. Basically, the Tuskmans who volunteer help him cross the finish line a big way. $1,000 for the scare cards.
But they say it's not really enough. But like not really enough to be. Basically they point out that it's a temporary solution.
Yeah, it'll begin for the month, but longevity wise,
which is like obviously brings in some obviously some real world kind of worries and struggles into this show.
Like, meanwhile, Val, she's making the simulator kid laugh his head off, literally.
Yep, and impressing Mike and Sully.
Yep,
mainly Mike. He's like, basically, she gets a job offer herself to become a scarer as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, speaking of the thing with Duncan, so I'm still angling for a black and white detective movie from Pixar, and that's my dream.
Like, well, Dragon, there's only one way to achieve that dream at this point.
Ray gun.
Well, that too. I don't know if it's gonna be black and white, but that's not where I was going with this.
Yeah, where you go?
Is to get a job at Pixar and write it yourself.
Yeah.
That's basically the only way we can get it made at this point.
Yeah.
Or convince Brad Bird to make one, as you pointed out.
Yeah, so here's the thing. We've gotten kind of close to it in three ways, okay? There was a Mater short in which we did black. We've gotten so close to it, okay? There was one of the cartoon shorts, with Mater. We did like kind of the noir, like the noir detective thing with Mater one time for a short. Like that's the first time we had kind of like an official Pixar sort of thing there.
Like early, like the newsreels from Up, black and white.
No, well, sure, but I mean, like literally, like Mater was like a black and white detective thing, but it was a short, and they were cars.
Yeah.
So that was so far. That's the closest we've been. This episode is the second closest we've been with Duncan. We shift to film noir. It's black and white. He's kind of a detective. He's delusional, mind you, but we're getting there.
Yeah, like Yeah, what was the other one?
Well, if I'm just saying the third one is like it's a detective movie. It's noir. Probably won't be in black and white, and technically not Pixar, but we have a Pixar alumni doing it with Brad Bird. It's like we're getting there.
Is it
You know,
actually gonna? Is Ray Gun actually gonna be like in black and white?
well, that's what I'm saying. We don't know. I highly doubt that it will be in black and white, but I'm just saying it's just the fact that we're
We
getting
don't
close.
we don't even know what medium it is between 2D or 3D.
I know that's what I'm really waiting to hear confirmed. Like I really want it to be 2D. I'm sure 3D will still be good, but if it's 2D, I'm going to be really impressed. They're not going to do it in 2D. That'd be really impressive.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah,
Maybe Skydance will surprise us.
yeah. I'm sure it'll look good either way, but it'll just be cooler.
Probably would be.
Yeah. Anyway,
But yeah, Duncan is like trying to like doing all this and all that. It's like you ruined my mood lighting. and it's like
so he's trying to find like the missing key that might be connected with the leaks.
and the literal missing key.
Yeah.
Like the missing key that was seeming that was lent to Roger Rogers, but
Mhm.
seeming but then went missing.
Yeah.
And so he thinks that he might, and he thinks that once he sees that Tyler's the family business makes keys, seems to clinch it for him.
Mm-hmm.
Even though his father like says like, even if it has a do not duplicate sign on it, like, oh, we know we never break that. We never break the key making oath. Like, he has standards. The guy has standards.
I do really love just the way we just hilariously we parody the whole like the film noir like, and there she was, she came into my life is it's like Virginia Tuscan is like on like like the little the stairmaster thing.
And like where she's just coming down the stairs on a is like into the yeah basically he kind of did this kind of highlights some weird things regarding Duncan.
Yeah, I love that it's like the framing of it's very Bates Motel too, just like looking at like the stairway. She's like
Like,
coming down there.
do you think he has a bit of a mother complex in this regard?
No.
What I mean is, like, do you think he has a thing for older women?
I think he absolutely has a thing for older. What are you talking about? How was that subtle?
I know. I'm just like, do you think it's like influenced because of his mother?
Yes, it's absolutely because of his mother.
Good. I just wanted to. I didn't want to be alone with that.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's definitely kind of highlighted. Like, yeah, he has a bit of a. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like, and he like completely delusional in the fact like he even thinks he even has a chance with her. It's like when he figured that she was married. He's like, oh no. Then he's like, there's still a chance.
Man, he's still he's not around anymore.
It's like, yeah, I still have a chance.
God.
It's like, just give it a rest, Duncan. You don't have a chance.
Duncan's got problems.
Yeah, if that wasn't made clear before.
Okay, anyway, that brings us to episode 6.
Field of Screams.
Okay, this is an episode I'm sure Billy Crystal must have loved.
Why is that?
Oh, he loves baseball.
Oh, right. Well, it's like, I mean, there's a baseball episode in the previous season too.
I know that's the thing. I'm sure he liked that one even more. See, Billy Crystal loves the Yankees, and if you notice, Mike's office has like a lot of great monster scare ball kind of thing. My favorite detail being he has like a giant chair that's in the shape of a catcher's mitt. Which, by the way, with the Yankees, I don't know how true this is because I saw it in a movie called The Scout, and it's modeled to look as it's basically the inside of the Yankees organization. So I would like to think the Yankees organization might have like a chairs in the shape of of gloves.
That would be nice.
I would love to think that. Anyway, point being, Mike Wazowski loves Sierra, which I heard something really sweet, by the way. I had no idea until I heard this, until I heard Billy Crystal doing an interview for Monsters at Work. He mentioned when he got his hands and feet at Grauman's Chinese Theater. He this is so sweet. He went to Pixar. He called up Pixar and got basically like from like the you remember the big Mike and Sully like statues that were like all the movie theaters and they have like one in Pixar.
Vaguely, yeah.
Well, I guess they basically probably have a spare one or something. They kind of like took the foot off of Mike, or did a mock up of like Mike Wazowski's foot, and he put next to his hand and feet prints. He he basically put Mike Wazowski's foot and signed it Mike W.
Like, is that actually something? Because it's still there?
Yeah, still there. Yeah, yeah.
Huh. I'll have to
So
check that out.
yeah, I was so charmed by it. Like, oh my, because again, he adores that character. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
I'm looking at it now. It's like, yeah, it's there. It's like his hands, his feet, and then one of Mike's feet.
that's the thing. That's why he always comes back for that character, man. He loves that character.
Like, I mean, he didn't want him. I mean, because he was originally offered Buzz Lightyear, but turned it down.
Yeah, he was kicking himself ever since. I remember, like, they actually shared the story too. Like when Lasseter called him, he's like, "John, whatever it is, I'm in."
It's like
Well,
whatever.
really, I want to show you I want to show you the thing. Like, can we meet? Where are you? I'm at your office right now. Okay. It's like Lasseter was very like, yeah.
It's like that's a nice story.
God bless him. All right. So yeah, so it's the big basically it's the big company softball game, which is a great setup. It makes sense, we would have we already had like the scare cards as a thing. So and companies do like having like kind of the softball games like this. So it would be it's a logical way to have Fearco go up against Monsters Inc. And Mike loves baseball, so of course you put that in there.
And then they're like 0-40 with wins against Fearco.
You have 40 years of losses.
Oh god, like 39 actually. They're only 39.
Yep.
It's 39 up front. That's actually it.
Yeah.
And there are some hopeful, like, oh, maybe they'll actually pull this off. And then they don't pull it off.
No, they don't.
Which is actually really sad.
Yep. So before we get into the game,
Yeah.
Tylor's Nightmare.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is I got to admit, okay, so the Nightmare, I was really digging the Nightmare until we saw Ben.
Yeah, what about it?
So we set up Ben. I love the idea. Okay, so Ben's like the regular kid is just kind of like, oh hey Tylor, so you're still doing the donut bit, eh?
I love how they're kind of like work buddies almost.
Yeah.
Almost kind of like a Ralph, like a Sam and Ralph kind of thing.
It's also interesting that we have a thing where he has a very different dynamic with a child. Like, because if you think about it, he doesn't know Ben's name at the top, but Ben knows him.
It's like, hey Tylor. It's like I just noticed that. I mean, that as much as you say like the kids are kind of like this TV budget thing, I know probably referring to the way they're animated and all that. But
yeah,
it's like I kind of like the idea that if these kids like get the monsters to make them laugh every now and then, like yeah, they probably would become familiar with these monsters and probably learn their names. Like yeah, it's like hey Tylor.
Yeah, I mean that's all great. I'm just saying, like, again, we look at the kids.
I'm just saying I think that's a pretty unique idea.
It is. So anyway, so Ben is in the Nightmare, and Ben has like an adult body, and like that's the shot right there. I mean, that's when it really kind of dawns in it. Yeah, man, I don't. Yeah,
I think it was meant to be kind of uncanny, though.
I mean, yes, it's uncanny, but that's when it kind of comes. That's when you start to like look back, and then later on we see the other kids. It's like, yeah, I don't think they're animated as well.
Like I think that one was specifically meant to be a bit more nightmare-inducing.
No, you're right. I'm just saying that's the smelling salt, though. It is nightmare-inducing. That's when you kind of like you start to, oh wow, surely that was just because it's a nightmare. It's like, oh wait, maybe that wasn't just because it was a nightmare. Anyway, so Val's been officially offered the jokester job, and she's wanting to tell Tylor this news and get the garner support of her friend and everything.
But doesn't ever find the opportunity to tell him.
Yeah.
So
because Tylor's wrapped up in his own stuff, as he always is. And again, we're kind of calling it a season 1 thing.
Yeah. So again, of course, Mike read a book about being a good coach for the team, only to find out that the person who wrote the book is coaching Fearco's team.
Stubby Lizardo.
Yep.
Stubby Lizardo, again, this I'm sure is like Billy Crystal's favorite gag was just the idea that Mike sees like a star player and he comes up to him, he's very fanboying, and he's like he wants him to sign the ball, he ends up signing Mike's head. It's very funny. Is the way this character is portrayed feels very like like baseball legend who's just kind of in the last legs of it.
And then Mike's like, at first it's kind of like the classic, like Mike's gonna be like, disappointed. He's like, I'm never gonna wash my head again.
Yeah, that's why we love Wazowski.
Yep. Like he always like takes like the seemingly negative thing and always finds some way to be positive about it.
He is an optimist, that Wazowski.
I mean, heck, even in like I believe it's the next episode when like during live TV, like the logo covers him again.
Yep.
I'll never get tired of that gag.
I know, it's seriously one of the best jokes in Monsters Inc.
It's like, I was on TV! And then I'm on the cover of a magazine! Like, really, they couldn't have just placed Sully on the opposite side? No, they just had to be mean to poor old Mike.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's on the magazine is good enough for him.
Oh yeah. All right.
Sorry. I just love that gag as much as you do, probably.
No, yeah, that's wonderful.
He's just happy to be there.
Yeah. All right, so Tylor, he's talking to Johnny. He's kind of desperate. He wants to take the offer now and at least talk about it. And he's already moved on. Who did he hire, Jacob?
Skylar.
Skylar, who you're probably wondering, are you sure his name's? Oh, we're very sure his name's Skylar. You know why?
Why?
Because he introduces himself as Skylar, like I'm Skylar.
It's like, and he constantly says his name.
Exactly.
It's and surprisingly, a lot of the people in Monsters Inc. are actually really good at baseball.
Yeah.
It's like, and of course, even Fritz, who has no idea what's going on. Okay, Fritz still being delightful and all that.
Again, everyone waits. That was my first strike.
And of course, I was like, hey, you gotta hit the ball. Like this, and he like hits a.
Go home, Fritz. Go home. Go home.
It's like, did I leave my oven on? And he just runs to his house.
Oh, I love him.
Oh, that's great. It's like Mike should have really done a better job explaining the rules to Fritz.
Yep.
I mean, right, Drake?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like, although I don't think even Mike would have anticipated that.
Okay, let's see. So Sully keeps saying this is a friendly game. We don't want to. We don't want to get really.
And yet he almost gets into it more than Mike does.
Oh yeah.
He's like, oh come on! He's like, it's friendly game. It's like you can tell he's just trying to
choke him out.
So you can tell he's trying to stay calm, and then he gets into it more than Mike does, basically.
Very appropriate. John Goodman having played one of the all-time great Yankees.
Who is that? Who was he?
Babe Ruth.
In what movie?
The Babe.
I didn't know. I forgot he played. I didn't know he played that.
You know what's really crazy to me? That's a really good movie. Well, I think it's a good movie. I think he's really good in that movie. But he was very down on his performance. He feels he could have done that movie better. I think he's out of his mind.
All right.
Yeah, I think it was great in that movie. Anyway. So. The point being, we boil down the conflict. Basically, we kind of boil down the conflict in a really interesting way here. That Tylor ultimately he wants to switch teams, which we literalize.
I think he's seriously started to consider, for multiple reasons, switching over to Fearco. Like, it was especially egged on by as we mentioned in the previous episode, with his family's financial troubles.
But like the nightmare kind of reestablished, it's mostly out of a need to help his family, but also just the internal doubts, like of the door closing, that in his guts he feels like I should be a scarer. I'm good at that. That's what I trained my whole life for, and that door is closing. I want to frantically reopen it. All right, let's see. So then we have the sadistic thing where he is, after knocking out Skylar by accident.
Yeah, he has to and Sully made kind of a mistake here.
Yep, it's like you can have any of our players. He picks Tyler,
Of
and
course.
Tyler is basically tasked with striking out Val, and they're already kind of on the fringes, and ultimately he does.
It's like he could have just like pick anyone except Tyler. Anybody would have picked Val for all we know,
Yep.
but either way.
Anyway,
So anyway, that basically Tyler catching the ball, which we don't even know he does at first after like it kind of fakes out a little bit.
yeah. All right. So after that, Furco is very happy. Our Monsters Inc. Crew, they're devastated,
For
and yeah,
40 years.
40 years.
It's like you kind of feel bad. Like it seems like oh maybe they actually won this time. Nope, they didn't win.
The bad news scares.
Bad news scares. Yes.
But yeah, so I love the bit though where Johnny and Tyler have that moment where Tyler, you made your choice. It's just again, it's not harsh. It's very Rich Schweikert of him. It's just very much, hey, you made your choice.
Yeah, so he said like the job's not open right now, Tyler.
Yeah.
It's like and basically he's just like seemingly intentionally like sowing doubt with Tyler and then like intentionally straining his relationship with Monsters Inc.
Mm-hmm.
So
And we have that really awkward, that sad, awkward kind of like ride home
but
for
like it's like
for Tyler.
because earlier in the episode he and Val were like, back of the bus buddies.
Uh-huh.
And now she's like sitting in a forward seat, leaving him all alone.
Yep. And good news, Mike still has his autograph, and we reveal like it's all smudged and everything.
Aw.
But Sully got him Stubby's mitt, and he didn't
Oh,
say no.
oh yeah, because his mitt was missing earlier.
Yep.
It's like Stubby's mitt. Like, and he's like, thank you. He's like, thank you, Sully.
Yeah. All
Like,
right.
it's all coming up, Mike.
Yep. All right. Episode 7.
Monsters in the dark.
Admittedly, this is kind of a. I think this is kind of a thin episode. It's an aftermath episode preparing us, honestly, for a 3-part event, kind of a 3-part finale of sorts. Like three episodes are very much feeded ultimately into the ending of the season.
It's the bonding exercise.
Yeah, basically, we kind of we have to build up. Tyler. We have to repair the thing with Tyler and Val,
Yeah,
so we can then like hit it with a hammer.
kind of.
It's a little bit of like a used plot for team building. We have to get out to get Tyler. We have the stinker doodle cookies.
It's like oh yeah, it's like they make a big deal. That's like oh his mom. It's like he didn't actually make them. His grandma did.
Which reminds me of that thing from Ed, Edd and Eddie. Did you make the cupcakes of apology?
It's like if you had just brought the cupcakes, you would have been fine.
Yeah, it would have been fun. Always go for the cupcakes.
Always go for the cupcakes.
All right, so we learn about Karloff the Shrieker, and this is of course, a little nod to Boris Karloff.
Who was funny enough not known for shrieking.
Yeah. So, anyways, Karloff the Shrieker, cool design.
Let's just hope they have like next season they have a monster named the Ghosty or something.
Yeah.
But Karloff the Shrieker, basically this like almost like this a literal nightmare monster who's like basically almost kind of like a slasher monster almost.
Yeah, it goes after laughter. But not in a good way.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so basically, if you laugh, the lights go out and you disappear. There goes Sully. There goes Mike, and all terror breaks loose.
Oh yeah. So naturally the Mifters and all the other people need to work together to to get rid of the Shrieker.
Mm-hmm.
Like and another interesting thing about this episode, at least, is like it takes place in like the deep underground Monsters Inc. Like in the old like in an old facility. And even kind of highlights just like some of the basically highlights the banishment angle again as well.
Yep, and the old door technology.
Oh yeah.
Yep, so they used one of the banishment doors to basically trap the monster, and we reveal it's a very Scooby-Doo plot.
It's Mike and Sully.
Yep, it's we kind of unmask Mike and Sully as the Scooby-Doo bad guy.
Yep. And
That's what I'm saying. It's a little easy. It's just there's not a lot to it. It's okay. Nothing wrong with it. Just it's like it feels a little mandated.
it's like, and of course, and naturally, at the end, it's like, oh, that's a good idea, Sully. It's like, it wasn't mine.
Wasn't
It's like,
yours.
and then it turns out the Shrieker may actually be real.
Importantly, Val has taken the job, and Tyler is reconciling with the change, and that leads us to episode 8.
Lights, camera, chaos.
Yeah, this is a big episode. The big transit. This transitions us to the low point of our story. You know, Jack and Jill they visit
They visit
Monster.
Monsters Inc. at the worst possible time.
Yep, for the big little tour, a little demonstration of laugh power and effect. And as you said, we obscure Mike with the logo, which is great.
Yep, it's like I said, never gonna get tired of that game. Well, at least he didn't even know about it, but
So the problem, we've sabotaged and graffitied and wrecked the laugh floor. Laugh floor F. It's not presentable, and we have our big news source coming here, and we do not want them to see the factory in this state.
no, we don't.
So while everyone's frantically cleaning up, and Mike and Sully are stalling as long as they can.
We even get it from Adorable Snowman once again.
Yeah, that's the thing. Of all the stall tactics, that one is my favorite.
It's like there are 3 different grades of it. Grades of snow cone.
Yep. The usual temperature of snow cone is at 18 degrees.
Yeah, it's nice to see Snowman again.
Snowman.
The Snowman.
Adorable. So,
This one actually is an adorable snowman.
Tyler and Val, they're investigating Roger Rogers.
Who think he's responsible for both the vandalism and the leaking.
He is the definition of suspicious, though. We've seen that. Again, he's the big red, or more accurately, green herring of the season.
Even has little red paint on his hands.
Yep.
And even phoning somebody's like, they suspect me.
Yep. And he's been taking pictures all this time, and he knows all the schematics of the place. So he's there's something going on there with that guy, and it's very suspicious. So we ultimately obscure the floor with doors all over the place until Mike accidentally tips over a canister and exposes everything. And as all is exposed, Tyler exposes Roger Rogers for who he is by reading his employee file. And what do you find out? What's the deal, Roger Rogers? What is all the secrecy, Jacob?
We learn his real name, Henry J. Waternoose IV.
Yeah, this is huge. I've still been waiting, and I don't know. I have a sense they're not. If we do a season 3, we might finally do it. But again, they're going to have to recast. Kelsey Grammer was initially the guy they were going to do this with, but I don't know if they will.
In Monsters U.
In Monsters University, so I don't know if we're going to ever do it. But again, I am desperate to see a scene where Sully visits Waternoose in prison.
That would be pretty cool.
That's my wish fulfillment for this series. That is like the scene I want. If I can only get one scene, that's the scene.
Well, we'll see if the 3rd season comes out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, and the biggest reveal isn't necessarily the fact that he's like the secret son. Well, not necessarily secret son, but the son of Henry J. Waternoose. But the fact that Mike and Sully actually knew about it.
Yeah. So big thing here. So everything's in shambles. You know, the news, like even a Waternoose has been working for the company the whole time, and look at all this trouble, and Laugh Power does not have a prayer, and so things did not go well. And Sully gets tough here, man. He's already doing some CEO stuff with Sully, which is what I want here. He calls everyone into his office.
Say, my office now.
It's an intense talk at sundown, which, by the way, the lighting, I know it's a movie thing, but just in general, reminds me a little of the sundown scene in Toy Story, the original Toy Story, when Woody's kind of being yelled at by everyone for knocking Buzz out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually when the sun goes down, that's when things get tough.
Yeah, when not helped when you accidentally bring his arm and bring his arm out into view of everyone.
Well, that was after. I meant literally when he knocks him out the window. But you're right.
I know, but that doesn't really help matters either.
No, it doesn't. He dismembered him.
It's like what? Ah! Oh god.
Like Rex throws up.
Oh, and everyone's like, help! Oh man, help! I don't remember the exact line, so I'm not gonna try and remember it at this point. Like
Murderer.
So Mr. Potato Head says as he drops the rope, like, "Hope said to pull out your voice box, you creep."
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyway, Slinky.
oh, yeah, that's sad.
Anyway, so a lot.
Yeah, go on.
So Sully lays down the law. Tyler was a little in the wrong here. Sully is very much an advocate of second chances. Monsters University has demonstrated this.
He reveals that both he and Mike knew that he was like the son of Water Noose.
Yep, and they hired him anyway because again, they want to begrudge him that, which is a really good thing for Sully to do. I think again, I wish Roger Rogers was a little more compelling character, but still.
Yeah, but I think it's just to highlight how different he is from his father.
No, that's true. That's true.
It's and like I'm just wondering like if Henry Waternoose is his father, who's his mother?
Well, we set up that his mother is a lot more pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see his mother now.
I bet you do.
I mean,
who else wants to see his mother?
Who?
Duncan. Duncan's got problems.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't have to be my mother, as long as it's someone's mother.
Yep.
Oh,
I think the real question was Sully's mother. Look, we've seen Mike's mom. We have not seen Sully's mom. We mentioned her on the phone though that one time.
It's like we only saw like Mike's mom at like the beginning of Monsters U, right?
No.
When did we see? Did we see her in the first season?
No. We didn't see her in the show. We didn't see her in Monsters University. We saw her in the company play.
Oh yeah.
My mom, everybody.
Oh yeah, I remember that now.
Remember, it's very fun. It's very bare bones. I didn't really have time to design the moms. It's Mike with Roz's hair. If you really look at her,
Oh God. Wazowski, I am your mother.
No!
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. No, you're not.
It's not biologically possible.
Well,
I'm your non-biological mother, Wazowski.
This is also a nightmare.
Yep. Right. Anyway. So.
And then Duncan's like, so, Mrs. Wazowski.
All right. Come on.
All right.
You can tell we're bringing this up on Mother's Day.
Of course. Happy Mother's Day, folks.
Yep. Happy Mother's Day. Ha ha.
Like, we're celebrating Mother's Day by talking about something that's literally nothing to do with it whatsoever.
Nope.
Happy Monsters Day, I guess.
There you go.
Sorry.
Anyway, so point being, Tylor ends up in the tides turn. Tylor ends up.
He's basically ran out of the company.
He's the fall guy. Someone has framed Tylor, and for the vandalism, for stealing the keys, for stealing Mike's mitt and the sugar packets.
Yep, and also breaking Boo's picture.
And that's the saddest thing right there, breaking and taking Boo's picture.
Which is very sad.
Yeah, so
that was basically the final straw for Sully.
Yep, and Val now, and here's the thing. I feel for Tylor. Again, I understand absolutely how he made that mistake, because, he was, Roger was very suspicious in how he acted, and it wouldn't have killed him to say, "Oh yeah." So Roger's like, Roger didn't necessarily keep anything from him. He said he was documenting all this, which he was for Mike, but he could have said, "Oh yeah, I'm taking pictures for Mike." I think it would have saved him a lot of trouble. But that's Roger for you. Regardless, Val, however, she should have had. I think she should have had Tyler's back.
Yeah, but
Even
I
if
mean,
she's right, even
I
if
mean,
Tyler hasn't been the best friend, she knows he didn't do this.
it's like, and she never really outright accuses him, though.
No, but she definitely doesn't have his back here. She doesn't vouch for him. She says, "Well, I don't really know it." I was like, look, even if you don't know, it's like, he wouldn't do something like this. She could have stepped up for him. She didn't.
Yeah, I mean, not help with Duncan's, evidence.
Yeah. Anyway, so then we have this great scene here where it's this somber yet kind of warm call with Johnny, where it says like, it's family night it's family night. It's like, there's a call coming. Like, Tyler, is everything okay? It's like there's a comfort there.
Yeah.
And that brings us to episode 9, where all the big stuff happens.
Descent into fear.
So Tyler becomes a scarer, finally at long last. Most interesting idea of the season. All his dreams come true.
And he actually is very good at it. He makes up. This place actually has a score record, unlike Monsters Inc., which they got rid of it.
Yeah.
And he basically starts climbing the ranks on his first day.
Yeah, leaderboard. Yeah.
Yeah.
So admittedly, here's the thing. Admittedly, he botched the company car, but everything else going pretty well for him.
It's like, it's in the valet. It's awesome. It's like, Tyler.
We don't have a valet.
Woo, free car! Woo!
I felt so bad for him in that moment, but
that's like a total like, oh god. It's like he just gave his car to a random stranger. Like basically, he basically let the free car go to his head.
I love too that Tyler he's driven to work by his family, so it's the fact that the free car actually was really useful, and then now gone.
Oh yeah.
All right, so in parallel to this, Val, it's her first day. She brought donuts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And she's actually kind of doing the routine, but doing something different with it than just what Tyler did.
Yeah. So she's she's doing real good too.
Yeah, she's like doing a lot more than what Tyler was able to do at this point.
Now I do have a big quibble here.
All right.
Okay, I don't know how big, maybe not big. I have a mid-sized quibble here, a gripe, if you will.
Okay.
So I don't like that we broke a cardinal rule from the original Monsters Inc. in all the Val stuff. Every time Val's like being a jokester, at least now humor is a subjective thing, so I don't know if everyone's going to feel the same way about this. But Monsters Inc. The cardinal rule in the writers with the writers and with that movie was we can't laugh at the audience slash us. The audience can't laugh at. Sorry, I'm botching. Let me try it again. Boo and the kids can't laugh at something the audience isn't laughing at. Now, I don't think Val's material is as hilarious as we're showing it with the kids, like the canister filling laughter. Even if a chuckle is powerful, I don't think Val's given. I don't think we're given a material in the writing for Val's routine or in her comedy. I don't. That's my opinion on it. But that's the thing. It's just I don't think it's as funny. I don't think it's proportionally as funny, and I think that's kind of in violation of the whole it's got to be like legitimately funny for Boo, ergo the audience. It has to be actually funny to actually necessitate the laugh that we're seeing on screen. Otherwise, it'll feel disingenuous or at the very least a little off.
All right.
Yeah. That's just me, though. I just want to make that it's not really an objective, like, this is wrong and I'll tell you why. No, it's not that at all.
More of a subjective thing, I guess.
Absolutely, which is what all humor is.
Yep.
Okay, let's see. So things are Val, well, she's doing really good. Monsters Inc. They're in crisis mode right now.
Yeah, because the supposed because basically all of their canisters had been tampered with.
Yeah, they're
And
not filling. The readings are all out of whack, and they're like crazy to fill. Like again, the power line will just sorry, not the meter for all the power reserves will go all if it goes down all the way down, there's gonna be a citywide blackout, which is not good.
they basically have to go into absolute overdrive in order to generate enough power.
We have one of the great gags, which is Mike with like crates and crates of energy drink.
Which of course leads to like this basically leads to his eye being completely red. Like, is my eye red? I don't care.
Cameron, eye drop.
It's like Kevin I then he just like drops this like a completely covered coats mic and it is like, thank you, Cameron. Like that's like the only legitimately nice thank you, Cameron.
I love that so much. I just love this giant like this giant shower of eye drop.
I mean, for Mike, it's probably what he needs.
I know it's absolutely. It's so funny.
It is. It's like, thank you, Cameron.
God. All right.
I hope we see if we do get season 3. I want to see more of Cameron.
Yes.
Yeah, well, not literally more of Cameron.
No, we don't want to see Cam. We want Cameron there.
Yeah, just want him to be more in more of the scenes, not necessarily actually see him.
All right. Let's see. So Tylor is now seeing the flaws in the Fear Code dream here. They run a really tight ship over there, ridiculously tight ship.
15-minute lunch.
And if you're not back, like the door literally closes, and like that's on it, Jacob. As a kid, that's like a profound fear I would have. Well, not directly that. I'm just saying something tantamount to like if you're late and like that would have freaked me out as a kid. Like the idea if you're late, that door closes and you don't bother coming back.
Yep, he basically forms a rivalry with one of the fellow workers.
Who was initially really nice to him too? It was Joy. Joy was like, "Oh yeah, like yeah, it'll be nice to scare alongside you." He's like, "No, though she's very competitive."
It's like basically when she sees him as a threat to being top scare, she basically gets all up in his face and doesn't even take lunch because of it.
And Rosie got fired, and Johnny's not as accessible as he was led to believe, at least initially.
Basically, it's revealed to almost be like a toxic work environment.
Yeah, I mean, I love how just like how kind of shocking and just sad it feels, where it's like all the workers are like chewing out Joey, like we don't like you, we're gonna bet money on this guy for beating your scare record. It's just like, oh man, it's so overly competitive. They're putting money on who's gonna beat the leaderboard.
I mean, even Monsters Inc. had a scare record, but
Yeah.
even they were just it was just more like it seemed like more of a friendly competition. Or like obviously some people took it seriously, like Mike and Randall. I mean, like Mike and Randall did, but even then it was just like there was like we could never see like the people placing bets or like basically all that happening there.
Yeah. All right. So I want to talk about this gobsmackingly good scene that is in this episode. It's like one of the top one of the top 3 of the season. Tylor forced the scare den. I love everything about this scene. Is just the execution of this scene is flawless.
Obviously, it's a very Pixar thing to do.
Yes, and speaking of which, is again just like he's forced to scare this kid, and I love that he calls out that like, no, I know this kid. Give me a different door, and these guys just will not let him out, which is crazy, and he is in this untenable position.
They're basically like strong arming him into doing it, despite the fact that he's like, no, I don't want to scare this kid.
Yep, and he has no he can't leave that room until he scares that kid. And then he's like, I love all like the voices in his head, just like everything up to this point. Like he's got to dig. Basically, if this is who you are, you got to prove that. So he leans into it when again there's so much conflict in him in that moment, and he scares the kid, and he has to keep scaring the kid, like until he screams bloody murder to get out of there. And here's the thing that this is like, okay, this is a Pixar project right here. After he does it, just the anxiety, the waves of anxiety. We've only seen this one other time like this, and it was in Finding Dory. Where Dory learns, at least initially, that she is told that her parents are dead. and we just saw like the POV of Dory, and like everything's just like just that realistic, just anxiety written, just like all the colors are blurring, and like that's sort of the like capturing the human experience like that in this realistic, like just high anxiety moment with Tylor after he's done. You can feel like it conveys the adrenaline that's going through him right now, and just the uneasiness, and just like the fact that he's done something very ethically for him, like internally and ethically questionable, and he's just like he has to get out of there. Just like that impulse, of like they have to pretty much carry him out as they're like congratulating him over like this horrible thing that he's done.
Which also puts him as the number one scare, which
Yep.
only to rub salt in the wound.
So that's the thing. So Tylor is, he's achieved in one day. He's achieved everything he ever like dreamt of. But having gone through the experience that he has with the Jokester path, he it's not as sweet as he thought it would be. And we have this great kind of calm down scene, like the aftermath, where he's like in the cafe area. He's looking at his basically his prototype scare card, just in disgust. Tylor the terrible. That's how he feels about himself, and he
Yeah,
can't bear look at it.
it's originally it's like Tylor the terrible, like that. That means in a good way, right?
Yep, and
And now it's just like, oh, he like looks at it. Basically he sees it and is now ashamed of what he's become.
yeah. So and I love that again. Fillion's killing it here, man. Just Johnny comes up to him and he's like, like even if Chet says that, you're my door's open to you.
Yep.
And again, then we have a reveal, and this is where things get a little iffy here. So we have this great, the initial reveal I like here, where Johnny he does this impromptu press conference, and he basically talks. It's Fillion giving a really good monologue here about the whole embracing who you are, and that monsters need to be scary and everything. And as Monsters Inc. is completely, everything's gone critical. They've lost. They everything powers down, the blackout rolls in. It's just all this chaos, and Fearco is poised to be like the big power in town.
But basically their looming threat is that they would take over all of Monsters Inc.'s business.
Yeah, and Tylor has been promoted to vice president out of nowhere.
Kind of shady him already.
Yep. So all this is really interesting. Like the idea of like Johnny being prepared for this, seemingly, like that's really interesting. And then we have this reveal that Tyler's like asking the follow ups here of like, well, what's going on here? He's like, Tyler's going to be okay, just trust me.
And
And he
then
goes down to like the recesses of the place, and we reveal,
the scream amplifier,
yep,
and the return of one of Johnny's old college buddies.
Randall Boggs.
Oh yeah, and the fact that he got Steve Buscemi back to voice him is marvelous.
So that's going to transition us into episode 10.
Powerless.
Okay, so here's my big issue with season 2. Okay, the iffiest element of the is the finale for me, because I'm not crazy about making Johnny full on the bad guy after we did such a good job you putting him in like in a position where maybe he is running too tight a ship. Maybe in striving for perfection and everything, and even that maybe like we did. Maybe we did go a little far with that in the villain direction, because I can see what they're trying to do. We're trying to facilitate. Okay, Johnny is the bad guy, even if we did present him as likable. But in doing all this, I think we took him from a more interesting Richard Schweikart thing, where he's not a bad guy, but he is representing something that is like, if like Tylor seeing being a scarer as a bad thing when it's just Johnny doing his job. That is interesting to me. That is an interesting dilemma to have, where it's like, hey, you have everything you ever wanted, but it doesn't feel good, and that's great. But then like having this whole mustache twirly reveal that it's been a plot the whole time. Randall like lays out the whole plan, and a big part of that plan is we find some poor schlub, and that means Johnny had to look at him as that poor schlub. So that means it deflates a lot of the genuine interest he took in Tylor. You know,
Yeah.
because then it adds a lot of variables I don't think we needed, and it makes me go back and wonder like some things were genuine, some things weren't. Like I think it's more interesting that Johnny, leaves the scare card behind, so Tylor is lured to Fearco. Like that's kind of it's a slightly underhanded thing, but it's like it's for Tylor's enrichment versus it has to serve this big master plan. I mean, am I making any sense with this?
Yes, it does. I mean, it seems like he was genuinely wanted Tylor to take over or to come to Fearco, but also wanted him to be almost responsible for what happened at Monsters Inc. as well.
Yeah, and by the same token, though, I'm not saying I don't want Randall in this season. I don't want him to be maybe. A part of me wishes maybe Randall either as a separate entity or maybe as a version of
Oh,
this is me spitballing here.
or if he was like he was like the sole antagonist instead, like he was like basically using Johnny's facility to facilitate all this stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing. Either as a separate entity that is the sole villain of the season, or just as like perhaps Johnny believing in second chances, like Sully has employed his old college buddy, and his old college buddy has betrayed him. Like that's a way to go. I'm not saying it's the right way to go, but it's a way to go. That would still like leave Johnny, not culpable for all of this.
Yeah.
You know. So, I mean, that said, opening the episode on the great Steve Buscemi as a Randall explaining what the heck happened with Randall after Monsters Inc.
So basically, he turns out he wasn't in the swamp for very long.
I love that. I love that Johnny showed up and he saved him from the Bugs Life trailer.
And he's like, they saved him from the alligator people, as
Mm-hmm.
as he calls them,
Oh yeah,
which is and basically immediately put him to work trying to sabotage Monsters Inc.
yeah,
It turns out the scream amplifier is basically one huge sham, and that the entire time he was stealing laugh energy from Monsters Inc.
yes, and
and
he.
and tampering with their readings.
So, as far as like a sabotage plan goes, like the idea of like messing with like tweaking the canisters so they're giving inaccurate readings, like that's good. However, the big plan of like I'm going to combine laugh power and scream power when it's been a proven thing that if you combine these two things it's going to blow up. That to me
It
doesn't
seems like
make.
like because like he didn't actually know it was an issue.
But surely, Jacob, surely if they're already stealing the laugh power, you think they would have tested at least once, like on one canister before we're going to do this with a giant with all of our can or a giant canister or the big refining thing. Like we're just going to jump to that versus like one singular test like we saw at the convention. Like we're gonna
I
go to all this trouble. We're not even gonna like theoretically test like what happens when you combine these two. Like, is it more laughter? I mean, in theory it is, but still, it's like are we gonna like even see if we can do that? Like that's the problem. It's like I don't buy it all. Like they wouldn't like realize again if Needleman and Smitty know this. How does Johnny Worthington not know this?
I don't know, like because he probably never tested laugh power.
Even so, I
Because
don't know.
remember, laugh power is new.
I know it's new, but if you're gonna like combine them, like it's okay, I'm gonna combine them. You can't just be like, okay, that just seems super careless. Not even just to test it even once.
Well, he was probably just you know desperate for power.
Yeah, maybe, but still, I don't know. Even if there's like a threat of like someone says, if you combine these two things, it's gonna blow up, which is what Tyler keeps telling me every turn. I mean, I don't know.
Like, but the interesting thing is like when Monsters is almost being shut down by Merck, the Monstropolis Energy Regulatory Commission,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good nickname, Merck,
Yep.
and which seems to also be run by Roz.
Oh yeah.
She's all over the place, basically. It's like, and basically she gives them this crap ton of paperwork for them to sign. It's like, I need you to sign everything carefully.
Yeah, basically tell them to stall.
Yep, basically stalling them for time. It's like, Mike's like, I'm going to use my full name. The Michael. It's hilarious.
Yep.
Uh, so it's like, so the goal here is the goal for Mift is basically to use the Scream Extractor, which apparently Mift kept the spare parts of,
Yep.
which we never even hinted remotely throughout the entire season,
Yeah.
or even in the first season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, logically, it was disassembled, and we saw looking at looking at the scream extractor, it was like made from like canisters and stuff, like stuff that was around the factory. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but you're right, it does kind of come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Well,
I
actually,
mean,
wait a minute. Wait, first episode they did bring up the scream extractor. They only mentioned it though, so I don't know. You're still right.
it's not a total Deus Ex Machina, but
Yeah.
and
Well,
and
either
and,
way, just
and,
the
and
whole all this dance around of like, and we need a version of the screen extractor. It's like we don't need to jump through all these hoops.
it's like so it's like they need to extract the screams from the laugh energy,
Yeah.
which is an interesting tactic that they could do.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and of course, and so basically get this interesting fight scene of Randall fighting the Mifters
Yeah.
while Val and basically while Val and Tylor distract Johnny from pressing the button.
Okay, so I might sound like I'm coming down harshly on the finale, but let's talk about the best part about the finale. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's Frankie Rigatoni.
Oh yeah, like Frankie Rig. It's like Fritz apparently takes community theater on the weekends.
Okay, so this is like the best thing ever. Okay, so it's the idea that
Right.
we got Henry Winkler to play the Fonz in Monsters at Work in the last episode.
Frankie Rigatoni.
I know that's what I'm saying though. The way he's playing Frank Rigatoni is
And then
he's playing the Fonz.
and he even like plays like the tough guy. It's kind of like he even like convinces some of the other people. It's like did you basically? It's like you know who I am. You get out of here.
It's great.
Like he's very good. He's very good at it.
Also, there are some shades of Barry. There's some light shades of Barry too, which is really funny. Because the previous two episodes ago, during the big intense, like I never looked at the file. As the work dad, I trust all my kids.
Aww.
Which again is a very Barry like thing, where he's kind of the father figure to the actors.
Which is kind of just like aww.
Yeah.
It's like it's like he loves all of his work kids.
Yep. Anyway, so just again, Fritz is like killing it in all the right ways.
Oh yeah, he really gets into character too, and he doesn't even break out of it even when he gets back to Monsters
So
Inc.
someone has to say cut here, or else he's going to be stuck like that.
It's like how did I do? He's just delightful.
Oh yeah.
And of course we get like Randall, like he even uses his one jeweler cooler to spray Randall.
Yep.
You get Duncan versus Declan.
Uh huh.
And of course, everyone succeeds in extracting it before Monstropolis is completely wiped off the map.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what next then?
Let's see. So ultimately, a lot of stuff there. Johnny's exposed. Merc. Well, there's another thing too. It's like a retroactive thing where apparently Chet was an inside guy the whole time for Merc. I guess he's really good at deep cover because it didn't read like that at all earlier.
Seems like it.
So so Chet kind of read on Johnny, which again really feels like why did Merc show up to Monsters Inc. in the first place if they already knew what was going on with Fearco? So Johnny's arrested. Which again, the other thing too. Here's yeah.
And apparently his cellmate is going to be Water Noose.
What's fitting. Here's the thing. A bit. I think a fundamental reason why I really don't like Johnny to being like the full on bad guy. I hate the idea that we just made him too likable and that he's a family man. We made that point very apparent, like his wife and kids. He threw all that away.
Yeah, it's like they certainly kind of like were kind of like stereotypical bratty kids, but they seem to be happy with their family.
Yeah, I mean they were their mother's kid,
Yeah, I mean the daughter especially looked just like her.
So yeah,
and then their son kind of looked kind of different, but
Yeah, so I guess that's the thing. Just looking at that, it just felt really like it's like that's really sad. That's a little too sad. It's really harsh. Like John, we set him up as like he's got all there. He's got a family. If you want to really look at it in a deep and probing way, like Johnny, in a sense, it kind of has the life that Sully would have had. Had different choices in his life been made. Had Sully not.
And it's just like getting like the old tired thing, like, oh, he's rich, so he's evil kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, had Sully, not broken away from scare power, he possibly, like, I think it's kind of interesting though, and part of me would have liked to seen this a little bit more because Sully had respect for Johnny, even when he was being lambasted in the interview.
Yep.
But
And
he,
that was more through Jack and Jill than Johnny.
well, yeah, I love that Johnny said like, I'm sorry about how that all went down, and he believed him. It's just the thing of like, Sully, we had Mike and Celia. We make a joke about the whole commitment issues thing with Mike. Sully doesn't really have anyone. Sully, he has kind of a pseudo kid with Boo, and we were kind of playing that in a really nice vague way. But it's like, and looking at that, it's like this is he kind of threw away the norm of Monstropolis with the choice that he made, and he's kind of in charge of this company. He's a CEO, and he has happiness and he has contentment. Where Johnny also has happiness, contentment, like the kind of like the nuclear family, like success, money, like helping the world, with the energy crisis. I don't know. I just think that's really interesting. I think it kind of undermines that. Just like, yeah, he just threw it all away because he wanted more power. He's power hungry, and I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that just kind of because that's like the tired cliche of like, it was always like he's rich, he's a rich businessman, so therefore he must be evil kind of thing.
Like as you said earlier, like Little Blue said, I guess John's getting a divorce. It's like that's too sad for me.
Yeah, it doesn't. Admittedly, it does kind of feel like they just needed a villain, so they made it him.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So,
and speaking of like villains, like Randall got away,
mm-hmm.
like seemingly opening that for the third season.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully that's a good sign.
I mean, I think ultimately they have to have Mike and Randall. We had this great Buscemi moment where it's like, okay, we got Buscemi back. He says like, and also while I was there, I had a little fun. I took all Wazowski's sugar
And his mitt.
That cretin.
Like he actually pronounced it as cretin.
Oh, so yeah, that cretin.
Like he actually pronounced it correctly this time.
Mm-hmm.
It was just funny. Like first of all, it's cretin. If you're gonna threaten me, do it properly.
Such a good line.
It is a great line, and he actually's like that cretin. Like he actually knew how to pronounce it this time.
That's the whole like cretin thing, and again the fact that Randall broke the picture and he took that's so petty, but it's so Randall because he hates that kid.
Yep. Make Monsters at Work season 3 happen.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the thing. So it makes you really want, like, if we're gonna bring Randall back, he has to have another scene with Mike. We got to get them back together.
Yep. It's like you hear that, Randall? It's the winds of change.
God, that'd be a good callback.
Yep. It's like because technically we never see Mike, Sully, or Randall interact this season.
No.
Or to see them interact with Randall, I mean.
Well, no.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
Which is because they were able to get Steve Buscemi back.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully if we do get the third season, that does happen.
So we have a nice moment here, and this is kind of important because we broadcast at the Monstropolis. We make things right with Ben. We show Tylor and Val. They kind of they mend things with the kid and demonstrate laugh power, and everyone's charmed. We even have we even have Stubbs.
Mm-hmm.
We even have him like home run kid, home run.
Oh yeah,
old Stubby.
Nice callback there.
Yep. So the monster world is at least more sold on laugh power. Jill has been kind of. Oh, I love when Randall called Jill. He's a big fan.
Yeah, he was obviously the one who leaked the information.
Mm-hmm. So, I love the comedy duo solution and on the scare cards thing. That's really nice.
Like I said, I originally thought like he was gonna like pair up, thinking considering like the parallels of Monsters University, and then like Tylor would find like his role as like being the assistant to Val's scarer instead, like them switching roles.
Yeah, but we didn't. Like, the duo is a nice
I
solution.
mean,
But you're right; it did feel like we were going that way.
but like I said, it's kind of like the Pixar thing to do, like go with the not so obvious solution. In this case, comedy duo.
Yeah, which is thing like, well, we never said they couldn't do that. It's like we said, why is only one monster gets to go through the door?
Yep, in this case, like Val and Tylor.
Yeah, and we're bringing back the cards. We have kind of the jokester cards, so it's that's really nice.
That's like of course Mike and Sully getting barbs at each other again. Like my comedy's not so desperate as Mike's.
Yeah.
It's like you can tell they're best friends. They can just insult each other like that.
Of course, yeah.
And just always reminds me of the lines like, "You're gonna see this face on TV more often, pal." Yeah, like I'm Monstropolis' most wanted. Like I love those guys. They have such a great dynamic.
That they do. Now, I got to admit, the very last moment of season 2, I think, and on the rewatch, I don't think it was a good idea.
What was that?
Uh we stole the ending of the first Monsters Inc. Like stole is a harsh word, but it's the fact that we did the ending again for Monsters Inc. and I don't think it was earned. I don't think it's like the same thing at all. We have Tylor and Val going into Ben's room, and Ben says, "Tylor, Val's like clearly, it's not an exaggeration. That's Kitty. We're doing Kitty."
Yeah.
For all we know, last time we're going to see Tylor and Val. I get the significance. We want to end on the scare card shot. Fine. But I'm just saying, man, like that's like a historic ending for Pixar. That's a hugely important ending. It's like it's like the fact that like we don't need to see the girl. It's like that is not the same thing at all, right there, man. That is not like no. Ben doesn't. He just met these. He knows Tylor. Valley had like one encounter with that's not earned. It's like no. Pete Docter made the big call on the Kitty ending. Okay, because everyone, the audience, like all like the screenings and everything, everyone said we want to see Boo at the end. They denied that audience that was a big call.
Yeah.
So this like just that it just feels like I'm not saying we can't like homage Monsters Inc. Obviously, we clearly did at the end of the first season. That's what they're going for here. But it feels like, yeah, it was not. I don't think it was earned.
I mean, I don't really see too big of a deal with it.
It's not a deal breaker. It's not. I understand. I'm just saying when if you really think about it, it feels like if we're just going to end each season with like we're going to end basically like with the end of the first Monsters Inc. Like we can't keep doing that. We can't do that with even more of a significant moment than the other one.
Yeah.
Because the first season was like that was the first season's ending was perfect because like we did the link up, we did it from a different perspective. Sully is we're lingering less on the Boo aspect, more like Sully achieving his laugh power goal in honor of Boo, and Tylor has achieved his goal. Like, all of that fits wonderfully, and you have like the big like, oh my god, we did the link up and reanimated the scene. Isn't that cool? But this is like, and they're entering the room, and we're saying, Tylor, Val, like, oh, it's like with Sully. It's like it's not the same.
Yeah.
Again, look, the finale has been all in all, the finale is my weak point of the season. But aside from that, we did really good up to this point.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
And as you said, the whole comedy duo thing, I think barring the whole Tylor Val, like him, the kids saying that thing.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty interesting choice.
Like, I think they could have ended with the scare card, honestly. I think that could have been an ending. I think that, like, honestly, the moment of everyone's gathered around as they're about to enter that room, that's the side I think, I don't know. It's just, it's the fact that it's the same kid. Honestly, that's the thing. It's the fact that it's that same kid. If it were any other kid, or is them going into the room, or everyone's like preparing for them to go in the room, or about to make history as like the first duo at Monsters Inc. Like that's that. I think that's the better ending.
The first official duo, because Mike and
Yeah.
Scully.
Well, I mean, at first again, they were the unofficial duo, Jacob. That's the difference.
Yeah, I know. It's like my comedy is not as desperate as Mike's.
Exactly.
It's like but look at what Mike was able to do. Like he's like almost like he generated probably like half the power during the potential blackout.
He did.
Like all that energy drink definitely probably not good for his system, but
no.
But you got to give it to Mike. Like, I wonder like how much he's evolved from just swallowing the microphone. Anyway, I think that does it for this.
Yeah.
All right. So overall, Jagged, now that we've gone through it, would you say that this season was an improvement over season 1?
Storytelling wise, yes, but a rough finale. Where season 1, I feel the conceit of season 1 is strong. I think it's solid, but I just think it maybe has a few peaks and valleys and not enough Mike and Sully. But 2, I think was really strong in everything else it was doing leading up to that point, leading up to the finale.
All right.
So I think overall, I mean, I don't know how you want to equate it. I think maybe 1's maybe more consistent just because it's like the running plot, but I think 2 is more compelling until the last episode.
Fair enough. I think season. Honestly, I do think season 2 is a bit of a better watch because it like expands the status quo. Like, as the first season obviously continued, like obviously explored what it was like to have it switch over, but here's like obviously we see more of the world, like see like the consequences of some of the things that happened in season 1. So in that aspect, I agree. I think it did improve it in some aspects.
Yeah.
I hope if we do get a third season, we do get. I wouldn't mind seeing these characters again, like especially like some of the more mifters. They still have some stories to tell. But maybe Tylor and Val, maybe they can like take a side seat next season for all we know.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Did we bring up the poster thing?
I don't think so.
Yeah, Little Blue had made a good point. Randall had a poster of the Winds of Change at Monsters at Work, which I do think I saw somewhere.
In Monsters University.
Oh, University, right.
Like it was in his dorm room.
Yeah, that was in his dorm room.
The Winds of Change.
It's my favorite band.
The Winds of Change. What a crit. One of these days, I am really gonna let you teach that guy a lesson.
And he did.
And he did.
Yeah. Well, technically the little girl did, but still.
Yeah. He helped.
All right, so he did. Okay, let's thank the folks before we get out of here.
We have Little Blue. We had Claude. And Kogias was here briefly, who said he hadn't seen the show. I keep forgetting that it exists. So I'd say give it a watch. I recommend it. It's nothing like too groundbreaking or anything, but it's a good watch.
All right. So that'll do it for us tonight as we holster our emotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mano a mano, just Plus&Us.